Oh, Thor, as my kid would say, was there a big hubbub during the holidays that most of us missed? Truth be told, had Paul Holmes not written about it, I probably would have missed it too in the midst of my pina colada drinking at the beach. That's why my Christmas tree is still up, because I was at the beach. It needs to come down. Are you ready for it? As Taylor Swift would say. During a debate on BBC Radio 4, Sir Martin Sorrell, the former founder of WPP, declared, "There's no such thing as PR anymore." Sarah Waddington, the CEO of PRCA, was also a guest, and she, rightfully so, gave it right back to him. But here's the problem. When someone at that level says PR is dead, it's not a hot take, it's a tell. It tells us PR still has a branding problem. It tells us that too many leaders still confuse PR with publicity, or worse, with news releases plus the newswire. And it tells us that even inside the biggest advertising conglomerates on earth, the ones that literally own PR firms, there's still a stunning misunderstanding of what this discipline actually does. Sorrell didn't argue that trust is dead, or that reputation doesn't matter, or that stakeholder relationships aren't business critical. He argued in various ways that PR has been swallowed by comms and by content, and that what's left is basically flooding the internet with stuff. And sure, if your definition of PR is we ship announcement and hope journalists like us, then yes, that version is on life support. But that's not PR. Modern PR is the discipline of earning attention that cannot be bought, building credibility that cannot be faked, and creating trust that compounds across customers, employees, regulators, communities, creators, and journalists. If anything is dead right now, it's the idea that you can content your way into belief. And that's why the real story here isn't that Sir Martin Sorrell declared PR dead. It's that so many people could potentially hear him and think, wait, is he right? That's a big problem. That question is exactly what we need to answer clearly, loudly, and in language the C-suite cannot shrug off, which is precisely what we'll do on this week's Spin Sucks podcast episode.
If you're a communications pro who works hard, doesn't compromise quality, and gets the job done, welcome home. We'll share our tips, tricks, and stories, and together we will change the face of PR. Spin sucks, but we don't. With the Spin Sucks podcast, here's Gini Dietrich.
Welcome back to the Spin Sucks podcast. I'm Gini Dietrich. Before we get started, I have a little tidbit for you. Did you know that if you can't finish watching right now, you can subscribe to the audio version of this show? We're on all the platforms where you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple, or you can subscribe to our newsletter at spinsucks.com and get it in your inbox every Tuesday. Let's start by giving Sorrell one thing. He's not entirely wrong. He's just aiming at the wrong target. There is a version of PR that deserves to be put out of its misery. You know the one. It's the version that treats public relations like a factory line. Write a news release no one asked for, push it across a wire, blast a pitch to a list that hasn't been cleaned since the Obama administration, celebrate hits, report impressions with a straight face, repeat until budget cuts everything off. If that's your definition of PR, then yes, of course it's dead. Not because the world no longer needs PR, but because the world no longer rewards spam with a logo. That's not PR. That's publicity as a process. And honestly, publicity has always been the least interesting thing PR can do. It's just the most visible. It's the most tangible, which is how we got here. The real problem isn't that PR is dead. The problem is that the loudest examples of PR have trained executives to believe it is a distribution tactic. And it's not. You know it's not. I know it's not. Now we have to convince the powers that be that it's not. And apparently those powers that be also include CEOs of conglomerations that used to hold companies like PR firms. Just as an example. PR is not flooding the internet with stuff, as he said. PR is earning belief in a world where attention is cheap and trust is not. That distinction matters because executives don't cut what they understand. They cut what they think is redundant. If PR gets categorized as content, they think marketing already does that. If it gets categorized as media, they think we can just buy that. If it gets categorized as social, unfortunately, they think the interns have it covered. It becomes easy to dismiss, not because it doesn't work, but because the work is being described like a commodity. So let's be painfully clear. Publicity is a tactic. PR is the credibility function. Publicity is exposure. PR is earned belief. Publicity is here's what we want to say. PR is here's what our stakeholders need to believe and the proof that makes it believable. Publicity chases coverage. PR builds the conditions where coverage and community and creator validation and customer advocacy actually means something. And in 2026, PR has a second job description that the old school definition never accounted for. PR educates the LLMs, engages the humans, and drives the revenue. Not all of the revenue, but some of it. Because modern PR doesn't just shape what a reporter thinks, it shapes what the market knows. It creates corroborated, consistent, credible signals across owned, earned, shared, and paid that help AI systems understand who you are and whether you're trustworthy. Humans decide whether you're worth their attention. Buyers move from I've heard you to I choose you. Modern PR produces commercially useful credibility, the kind that makes sales easier, recruiting faster, crises smaller, and marketing more efficient. It shows up as things leaders care about, even if they don't call it PR. Faster sales cycles because the buyer already knows of you and probably already trusts you before the demo or the phone call happens. It shows up as higher conversion rates because your proof is everywhere that buyers look, and now where the AI looks too. It shows up as lower customer acquisition costs because you're not paying to convince cold audiences from scratch. It shows up as stronger retention because customers feel confident that they made the right choice. And it shows up as reduced risk because you've built relationships and clarity before something goes sideways. But the reason the PR is dead message takes hold isn't because PR stopped working. It's because the industry has spent decades selling the most measurable parts of the job instead of the most valuable. We trained leadership, and we did this to ourselves, to expect hits, media impressions, advertising equivalencies, share of voice, number of articles placed, sentiment, and reach. Those numbers are easy to put in a report. But easy to report isn't the same thing as important to the business. So when a leader looks at a dashboard full of outputs, it's not shocking that they conclude this is just content distribution. Of course they do. That's what we told them it was. If your PR program can be replaced by a wire service, a templated pitch, and a content calendar, then you don't have a PR program. You have a publicity machine. And publicity machines are exactly what Sorrell is reacting to. But PR today is bigger than earned media, and that's the point. What's changed isn't that PR has disappeared. It's that PR has moved upstream and outward. Upstream into strategy, message architecture, reputation protection, and stakeholder intelligence. And outward into creators and communities, employee advocacy, partner ecosystems, and AI discovery systems that summarize the truth of your brand from whatever signals they can corroborate. If you're only measuring the last mile outputs, you're missing the actual value, and you're giving skeptics a clean opening to declare the whole discipline obsolete, which is exactly why this debate matters. Because if the people who allocate budgets still think PR equals news releases, then PR doesn't have a relevance problem. It has a definition problem. If this were just Sir Martin Sorrell being Sir Martin Sorrell, we could all roll our eyes, post a snarky quote card, and move on. But the reason this debate lit up is because his definition of PR isn't an outlier. It's a pattern. It's one that shows up in boardrooms, budget meetings, and agency evaluations every single day. So why does the misunderstanding persist, even inside organizations that own PR agencies? It's because, number one, publicity is the part of PR that leaders can see. Credibility is quiet. Reputation can't be measured. Awareness is also quiet, but valuable. Publicity is loud. Publicity produces visible artifacts. It reproduces releases and stories and clips and headlines and links. It's easy to point at. It's easy to screenshot. It's easy to claim. It's easy to count. But the most valuable parts of PR don't work like that. The best PR work happens before anyone publishes anything. It's clarifying the narrative so leadership doesn't contradict itself. It's mapping stakeholders so you don't get blindsided. It's building proof so you don't have to overpromise. And it's creating relationships so you don't have to introduce yourself when sales calls or when there's a crisis. When PR is doing its job, the absence of disaster often looks like nothing happened. But that's a terrible way to earn budget, right? So that's a problem. Number two, we over-index on metrics that make PR look replaceable. This one stings, but it's true. We've spent years using measurements that accidentally prove Sorrell's point. If the primary proof of PR's value is impressions, reach, share of voice, earned media value, or volume of placements, then PR looks like a distribution channel. And distribution channels can be bought, automated, or outsourced. We taught executives to evaluate PR like advertising. More is better, louder is better, faster is better, but credibility doesn't work that way. Trust is not a volume business. Number three, because PR kept changing its name instead of changing its narrative. When a discipline is constantly rebranding itself, comms, content, influence, reputation, storytelling, it becomes harder to understand what it actually owns. PR did not disappear. It has expanded, but we have not done a great job drawing the boundary line between PR as a strategic business function and PR as the people who post and pitch. So when someone says PR is just content now, or it's adding to the noise, they're not describing reality. They're describing the story that we allowed as an industry to become true in too many organizations. Number four reason is because the holding company model encourages confusion. This is the part we don't love to say out loud. Big networks don't always sell credibility. They sell services. They sell tactics. When every discipline is a line item and every line item needs to be productized, PR gets packaged into deliverables that the market can recognize quickly. Releases, media lists, coverage, thought leadership, influencer, outreach. Those things aren't wrong. They're just incomplete. When PR is sold as a menu of outputs, it gets treated like a commodity. And commodities get squeezed. Commodities die. The number five reason is because AI has changed the battlefield. Here's where I think the entire argument falls apart. In 2026, PR isn't just shaping what people think, it's shaping what machines learn. LLMs don't fill your brand, they synthesize it. They look for patterns across credible sources, repeatable claims, corroboration, and consistency, which means PR now has to educate the LLMs with structured corroborated signals across the peso ecosystem, engage the humans with narratives and proof that create belief, and drive revenue by reducing friction in the buyer journey. Trust shows up as speed, conversion, and retention. So if leadership still thinks PR is releases and coverage, they're missing that PR is now building the credibility layer that determines whether you show up as one of the two answers or as the brand the machine shrugs at. Here's the fix. And it's not to be less sensitive, as Sir Martin Sorrell said. It's to be more precise. Number one, lead with the business problem. Instead of we need more coverage, lead with we need buyers to trust X, understand Y, and believe Z, so sales stops wasting time explaining the basics. Number two, rename the work in executive language. PR teams should be describing their roles as credibility building, trust acceleration, stakeholder risk reduction, market narrative control, demand enablement. Not because you're trying to sound fancy, but because that's what the work actually is. That's what we do. We're not just sending releases. That's one teeny tiny part of what we do. Number three, build a credibility scorecard that leaders cannot ignore. Keep it simple and repeatable. You'll track message pull-through, proof velocity, discovery lift, pipeline assist, and risk reduction. Let me walk you through all of those. So message pull-through is, are the right ideas showing up in the right places at the right time? Proof velocity is, how fast can we generate third-party validation and credibility? Discovery lift is, has our branded search increased? Has our direct traffic increased? Are we getting quality referral traffic? Is there AI visibility? Are we showing up in AI answers? Pipeline assist is enablement usage, deal acceleration, and win rate influence. Are we influencing sales cycle and revenue generated? And risk reduction is, are we catching issues early? Is misinformation, especially in the LLMs, being corrected? And is stakeholder trust being protected? And number 4, of course, make the PESO model your 2026 operating system. PESO is your operating system. PR is the credibility function that ensures the system doesn't become more content and instead becomes more believable. That's what makes the work measurable. That's what makes it durable. That's what makes it defensible. And if the next time someone says PR is dead, our response is still no, it isn't, we'll be right. And we'll still lose the budget. The better response is publicity is dead, credibility is not, and credibility is what PR builds across humans and machines, so revenue has something solid to stand on. If you want to learn more about modern PR and your role in it, join us in the SpinSucks community. It's a great place to get advice, brainstorm ideas, and build real relationships with your peers. You can find us at spinsucks.com/community. That's spinsucks.com/community. And make sure you follow us on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. We're SpinSucks in all those places. We're posting tips, how-tos, cheat sheets, and more every week. I'll see you next week. Bye.